Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. It looks like we're getting Vasyl Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit that bell icon. Shout out to the super chats. We've been going live. Join the live streaming. Make sure you guys support. Thank you for the channel donations and also the Patreon family. We working. Now, I want to tell you this. We're going to file this under Ego Rumor Mill, aka where I tell you guys the hottest and latest trending rumors. Now, I just spoke with somebody, and it's a trusted source. Obviously, per usual, I'm not going to leak my source because a lot of times when information comes out, it's not supposed to come out at that particular time. So I'm not going to put that person on Front Street. But if you guys listen to the channel and you go watch the Ego Rumor Mills, I told you about a lot of fights. So I have a lot of good sources. Pacquiao versus Bradley 3, I told you guys well before it was officially announced. Now, like I just said in the beginning, Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Vasyl Lomachenko, I did a previous video saying that they've agreed upon some things and it looks like we're getting it, but from my source, they said signed, sealed, and delivered. Like, it's beyond still like they have the terms and it's signed from the fighters. You know what I mean? It's a signed deal. So that is looking like the fight December 9th in New York, Madison Square Garden, in the smaller venue, because you know what I mean, they don't want to overshoot it and not be able to fill it to capacity, have empty seats or whatever. So I want to give my thoughts. Again, my source is going to remain anonymous, but I really believe this. I believe this is the case, and all the signs are pointing to this, and this is a great fight. And overall, I'm happy. 2017 has been a phenomenal year for boxing fans. You're getting a little bit of everything. We have this week, which is why I'm in Las Vegas right now, we have MMA meets boxing in Mayweather-McGregor. Floyd hasn't fought in 2 years since Berto. He's been on a long layoff, so it's good to see him come back for a final fight just to see what he's looking like. Conor McGregor has a mouthpiece. He's a good fighter in the UFC, so to check that out. But beyond that, we had a lot of undisputed. Terrence Crawford, I went and covered that fight as media. Terrence Crawford and Dongo. That was a great atmosphere, great event. We also had Kell Brook, Errol Spence, Anthony Joshua proving what he's made out of. Pause. In this fight with Vladimir Klitschko. Same thing with Errol the Truth Spence Jr. going over to the UK and taking Kell Brook's belt, and he had a couple title defenses, and Errol was the first to take that belt away from him. Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Broner versus Garcia, Broner Granados. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's some great fights. And now, to top the year, the final month of the year, Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko. Again, it's not 100%. I got to do that just because it's boxing, but from who I just talked to, they said it's signed and it just hasn't been announced. Now, I can imagine that with Mayweather-McGregor, fights like that, they're so big that you wouldn't want to announce it right then. You know what I mean? You don't want to stand in the way. It's like standing in the way of a train or something like that. You got to just let Mayweather-McGregor do what it's going to do, and I do think it'll do big numbers. You guys can say whatever you want, it's a freak show, circus, but bottom line is it'll do big numbers. Steven Espinoza of Showtime at the press conference today, he was basically saying this fight has the most distribution of any fight, not just boxing, but UFC, boxing and UFC combined, like, you know, or not combined, but out of all the fights, he said this has the most distribution, even more so than Mayweather versus Pacquiao, which did a crazy amount of pay-per-view, 4 million plus pay-per-view buys. So I have to imagine this, if there are this many people who are kind of interested in the fight, I think it'll do good numbers. That's just the bottom line, because it's being distributed by so many different people around the world. You got to look at it. I mean, Mayweather's a genius when it comes to business, man. I'm not trying to talk switch the conversation of topic, but it is what it is. Conor McGregor's from Ireland. That's a completely different demographic from the United States, even though he has fans in the United States. So he has the best of both worlds, if you think about it. He has all his fans back home, which are going to be able to purchase the fight. There's a lot of Irish people, especially in certain areas like Boston, New York. A lot of people come out to Vegas, stuff like that. So I think the fight will do numbers. So to me, that's why Rigondeaux Lomachenko probably won't get announced just right away, because they probably don't want to announce it right before Mayweather McGregor. I don't know. Maybe they do announce it. I'm just speculating on that part. But all in all, it's a great fight. It'll cap off the year very strongly. Two of the best amateurs ever, if not the best amateurs ever, whatever you want to call them. It's a good fight. Fight would take place at 1:30. Rigondeaux is moving out of his comfort zone. Two southpaws, two-time gold medalists. Great fight. Now I got to leave on this note, because there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to this fight, and it's the usual suspects. You know what I mean? We can't expect anything less. But a lot of people, like for me, I'm just happy if the shit happens. Like, I mean, people want to drudge up 2 years ago why the fight didn't happen, but since people are on the subject, there's a lot of misconceptions. Now, Dante's Boxing Nation has a video, which I'm going to link in the description of my video, and he was talking to Team Lomachenko, and he inserted a clip of Egis Klimas, Lomachenko's manager, and Lomachenko talking, and he was talking to Team Rigondeaux. It was a Team Rigondeaux interview, and then he flashed back to the Lomachenko interview, and they're talking about what the dispute was when they fought. A lot of people keep saying, oh, it's only the weight and the weight. Lomachenko's on tape. Watch it. You know what I mean? You can go in the comment section or in the description box and watch it. Lomachenko says, as far as I know, in the negotiations, everything was cool, everything was agreed upon, including the weight, but there was a discrepancy. And then Dante's Boxing Nation said, what was the discrepancy? And Egis asked Lomachenko, and then they said it was money. And then they go to the current interview with Team Rigondeaux. He has a Team Rigondeaux shirt. I don't know exactly what his role is, but somebody. And he's saying that they were offered $500,000 to fight Lomachenko, right? Which is peanuts if you think about it. I mean, obviously, see, a lot of this is what fans do. A lot of people look in terms of them. Like, if you broke and mismanage your money or don't have a job and stuff like that, of course, $500,000 is gonna sound like the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? You're like, yeah, why doesn't Rigondeaux take it? He's ducking. But it doesn't work like that, because at the end of the day, these fighters are risking their lives, and that money, it's not as much as you think, because you have to pay a hefty tax when you get lump sums of money. Two, your trainer probably gets about 10%, maybe more, depending on whatever deal you guys got. You know what I mean? So the trainer's probably going to get 10%. So you guys start doing the math. What's 500 and then 10% of that, and then what are they going to tax him? 30, 40%, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just, it starts dwindling down. You have to pay your team, sparring partners, sometimes housing for sparring partners and other accommodations. All the trainers and everybody in the squad got Team Lomachenko, Team Rigondeaux shirts and hats and shit like that. Embroidery, all that shit costs money. You know what I'm saying? So $500,000 is not as groovy as it seems, and that's, to me, probably why the fight didn't happen. Because in the end, Rigondeaux's willing to move up to 130, so he might have been able to do it back then. It just for the right amount of money. You know what I mean? So obviously, if they're agreeing on it now, then they probably came up with the amount of money he was happy for. And this reminds me of Triple G versus Daniel Jacobs. In December, they were trying to work the fight for December 10th, 2016. People said Jacobs was scared. I know Jacobs. He called out Golovkin. I didn't think he was bluffing. I think he really wanted to fight. But his standpoint was very simple, very easy to understand. If this is the boogeyman, pay me boogeyman money. Period. I fought Peter Quillen for $1.5 million or whatever he got for Peter Quillen. Why would I get only 25% per the WBA rules when this is a big fight? It's going on HBO pay-per-view. We're going to put Chocolatito on the undercard. You know what I'm saying? I think you guys can do better than that. And in the end, it worked out because he came back and they obviously presented an offer that he was comfortable with. And then the fight happened, and I thought Jacobs beat Triple G. But, you know what I mean, either way, it was a good fight. I covered that fight live, too, in New York. So, you guys have to understand the business of it, too. These fighters aren't stupid anymore. Rigondeaux just fought Nonito Donaire a few years back, and he got probably like 750,000. This is just off the top of my head, but I think he got right around there. You know what I mean? So why would he get significantly less for Lomachenko? You know what I mean? Why would he get less for that? And they're saying Lomachenko is the best thing since Muhammad Ali. So if you're saying he's the best fighter since Muhammad Ali, then that means he's better than Donaire, in which Top Rank offered him a deal. He dethroned and beat the shit out of Donaire, and Donaire was never the same after that, and they were able to give him 750,000 then. So why, if he's fighting someone who's perceived as better, why would you get less money? Explain that to me. You know what I mean? Explain how Rigondeaux, because again, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of you idiots in the comment section keep throwing out these narratives like, oh, Rigondeaux's ducking. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I'm just happy the fight's happening. Props to Lomachenko, props to Rigondeaux. But if you want to start talking money, you got to be realistic. And the final thing I will say is this. In this game, it would behoove you to look at clues, patterns, common denominators, similarities. Like, let's say there's a certain team and everything that comes out of that team's mouth is inconsistent. Then maybe it's that team. Maybe it's not every other fighter. Maybe it's that team. You know what I mean? Like Pacquiao's team. Michael Conks will say something, Freddie Roach will say something, Aaron will say something, Pacquiao himself will say something. So it gets to be all over the place. You know what I mean? And a common denominator I've noticed with Lomachenko's team, whoever, his handler, whoever it is there's been a lot of fights in rematches and stuff like that that have not happened, that fell apart at one time or another based on money. You know what I mean? Nicholas Walters, they actually negotiated Summer 16, and then they later fought when they came back, and that was because Top Rank gave Nicholas Walters nothing else in between, and he probably needed some money, which is the performance that he gave us. You know what I mean? A shitty performance, like, I need money, I'm here for a paycheck, and I'm not, for this amount of money, I'm not, Lomachenko's good, and I'm not willing to go for broke and get embarrassed possibly trying to turn this fight around. So he just kind of lay down and quit. That's exactly how he fought. You know what I mean? He's like, probably like, yeah, fuck it. I've been on a long layoff, gained weight, I don't feel right in here, and I'm not getting that much money. Whatever. Wave the white flag, right? The fight with Orlando Salido, I think a couple of times that was supposed to be negotiated for the rematch, and then out of nowhere, it fell apart. And Salido was in the news, in the headlines, saying, I want more money. Rigondeaux fight at one point fell apart because of money. Go watch the video on DBN, right? The link is in the description. So to me, that when it's always the same culprit, then that's when I start looking at the culprit. You know what I mean? Like, if Team Lomachenko is in I just named 3 different fights at 3 separate times with 3 different opponents, and money was the issue. So what I believe happened is this. I think that Top Rank, HBO, whoever, ESPN, they are overvaluing Lomachenko, meaning they are trying to make it as if he's a bigger star than what he is. Is he skilled? Absolutely. Can he scrap? Absolutely. Is he a good fighter? Absolutely. So people confuse the two. Just because you have skill doesn't mean you're the biggest star. Point blank, period. Because Broner lost to Mikey Garcia, so one could say Mikey Garcia has more overall skill than Broner. He beat him, right? And he beat him, looked kind of easy. But Broner is the bigger star. Broner has bigger paychecks. Broner is more known. So it is not always synonymous, the two different things. And I think that's what's the problem. They look at a talent like Lomachenko, and then they're assuming that he's this huge draw, but he's not really a huge draw. Like, if you look at his fight in the venue in LA, Golovkin is selling out the Forum. I was at the Forum. I covered the Golovkin fight with Dominic Wade. Who is Dominic Wade in the grand scheme of the middleweight division? People didn't really even know who he was, and it has 16,600 people there for that. And Chocolatito was on the undercard, but a lot of that is from Golovkin because he's doing that on multiple coasts. Daniel Jacobs, it was a packed house at Madison Square Garden. I was there. I'm at these fights. You know what I'm saying? So Lomachenko, to me, he's not doing those types of numbers. So they're confusing the skill with drawing power, with star power. And I think that's why Salidos and stuff, because they're trying to pay Lomachenko all this money because he is a quality fighter. You're like, okay, Lomachenko, you're gonna get 850,000, but your opponent's gonna get 400, 450. And then these opponents are like, nah, like you saying he's high tech and the Matrix, best since Muhammad Ali, then cash me out. But either way, that's my thoughts. I'm glad the fight looks like it's gonna happen. I'll do an updated video when it's made official. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.